Yeah, cozy everybody. Today we'll be playing a game called The Strange Case of Sophia's Daughter. I like this one. Let's go. When I was little, Mabel Callahan told me that she would live to 100 or die before 20. Her mother, who had just walked in the room, asked what compelled her to say such things. Mabel just shrugged, but I knew she was simply telling the truth and nothing more. That conversation, like the many others we had, lay dormant in my mind until years later when I was forced to recognize its relevance. I was admiring the progress of the school's new gym building from the comfort of my desk when the counselor, bless his heart, is it because he died? Oh shit. Took me out of math class and led me to his office. Wait, so he's not dead? Oh, okay. Behind his desk were crayon drawings of happy families accompanied by a little note, usually something to the effect of, "Thank you, Mr. J." We all called him Mr. J because his real name was unnecessarily long and difficult to pronounce. Maybe we're just struggling to read because the school isn't that good. He had tufts of gray hair around his ears and noticeable eye bags for what was likely decades of working with mentally troubled and hormone-fueled teenagers. I always wondered about Mr. G's personal life, but since he didn't seem to have a wife or any kids, but he was known to occasionally flirt with the new English teachers down the hall. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why I called you in here. I didn't say anything. I've been told that you and Mabel were particularly close. Is this true? Not really. I haven't spoken to her since 7th grade. Well, maybe a couple of times, but not often. I don't know if you've noticed, but Mabel has not been coming to school lately. Is that so? My legs started twitching. I wish you would just get to the point and let me go back to staring at construction sites. I like those. They're doing something construction-y. The counselor took in a deep breath. We've received word from Mabel's family that she passed away. We wanted to let you know because Mabel said you and her were good friends. I know this must be a shock for you. I'm terribly sorry for your loss. Young death is a tragic thing. He kept talking, but I stopped listening. His voice became muffled. Mabel had not crossed my mind for weeks. I tried to conjure her face, yet couldn't remember any particular features. Not her nose, nor her dress, nor her smile. It was as if I only knew the concept of a person called Mabel, and no longer the girl herself. Damn, dude, is she that much forgettable? I was a bit surprised to learn that Mabel still considered us good friends. It was true. We were best friends in elementary and middle school, and because we lived in the same apartment, then I moved and switched middle schools. We met again once we were both funneled into the giant high school complex, but by that time, I had other friends. I thought she did too. Do you know how she died? I asked. I scratched my nose and noticed that my fingers were frigid. Mr. G's face froze in the middle of a sentence. He lowered his eyes. We're not quite sure. The police are still investigating. But rest assured, it was a peaceful death, and there's no danger to you. Damn. He smiled as if those empty words had fooled me. He probably expected me to burst into tears at any moment, but my brain wasn't working. I no longer felt the harsh metal seat, nor the weight of my limbs. I could tell Mr. G directed a lot of words towards me, but I understood nothing. If you need anything, please reach out to myself or any of the faculty. We are here to support you 100%. I've notified your teachers so you can be excused during your grieving period. In the meantime, I can recommend some therapists who can help you recover and process the trauma. It's fine, I'll be okay. Can I go now? My lips finally moved. Mr. G's eyes widened. Are you sure? I'm fine. You're free to leave, but please come talk to me if you need anything at all. I got out of my chair and let the door gently swing shut behind me. The school was ablaze with rumors the very next day. Despite the administration's best efforts, it seemed that the life and death of Mabel had spread to every corner of every classroom. Ironically, she was more popular in death than in life. Students excitedly speculated on the cause of her demise in hushed tones. That's awful. I discovered Mabel's earthly reputation inside empty classrooms and in long lunch lines. She was an apparition. She rarely socialized unless directly approached and regularly skipped class. Her appearance was unremarkable in every manner, People would often have a private conversation within earshot as if she weren't even there. Most notably, there was the obsession. Mabel was obsessed with creating purple bracelets. Day after day, she churned out mountains of bracelets on her desk. A slight breeze would cause massive clumps of slush off and scatter on the floor. No one knew where she had acquired a seemingly endless supply of purple construction paper. But the Amazon rainforest probably wasn't very happy. In the face of such insanity came mystery, and in the face of mystery came fear. One thing was clear. Unlike this image, this is not clear at all. Mabel was not a happy soul. The few people who spoke to her said they sensed a terror in her eyes. I was confused. The Mabel of my childhood had been a bright and pleasant girl. She constantly begged me to play with her, and we spent hours in our imaginary world, laughing at our own foolishness. When I first announced my departure, Mabel and I swore to visit each other every day, and we did for the first couple of days. Slowly, I let the periods between my journeys drift longer and longer while refocusing on my own life. Other people started filling the once Mabel-occupied spaces in my brain until I stopped longing for her completely. At last, someone decided that they had solved the mystery. Mabel committed suicide, they declared. It was frighteningly obvious, was it not? She lived in a hell of her own creation and finally decided to end it. But wait, others interjected. Surely the purple bracelets meant something. Could Mabel be planning something more insidious? Her social isolation was not self-imposed. Didn't Jones say she was bullied in Mrs. Gershaw's class? Didn't someone once ask her out as a joke in front of the entire school? Maybe it's a combination of all those factors. It's a curse, I tell you. She's died to curse us. I heard the nasally but confident voice and turned around. Hey man, that's not cool. Look, I know I haven't been close with her for a while, but that doesn't mean you can make up these crazy theories about her, I said. The girl beside him flapped her hands. She was crazy. Once I ran into her in the bathroom, and I swear she growled at me. Grrr. Chopped her teeth and everything. I know it's really sad that she's not with us anymore, but she always did give me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, I feel a little bad, but I don't want to be cursed. I just made it on varsity soccer. Hey, didn't Sarah say she dressed up as a witch for Halloween a couple of years ago? And she was always muttering something under her breath, especially when the teacher was talking. Maybe she's the reason the fire alarm went off during the geography quiz. I tried to drown out the conversation. Was Mabel depressed? Did she actually hate all of us, including me? The Mabel I knew wouldn't do that, but I do remember those mood swings that happen every once in a blue moon. She would be laughing, then suddenly burst into tears. A deluge of memories burst into my head. Guilt flooded my body, and I had an urge to vomit. I heard a third voice cut past the rebel. Guys, stop. Can't you see how uncomfortable you're making him? From the corner of my eyes, I could see her gesturing towards me. You're being super rude to Mabel and Tony. Don't you know they were friends? Tony, are you alright? Sorry, Tony, we were just kidding, but we got a little carried away. I'm sorry about Mabel, the boy said. Yeah, you're welcome to talk to us anytime, okay? The girl added. The gossiping pair hurried away. Oh, they were only the two people. I thought there were multiple people. Shit. That's why I did the multiple voices. Multiple annoying voices. After a moment, I raised my head to clear emerald eyes peering at my face. It was Shannon, one of the first friends I made after the move. She was often mocked by the other kids for breathing through her mouth because of a perpetual cold. So we quickly bonded over a shared social awkwardness. That's kinda adorable though. Her slightly wet nose, warm breath, and mussy hair were more reminiscent of a curious puppy than a concerned student. Oh, she does look like a little puppy. Thanks, I owe you one, I smiled. No problem, the nerve of everyone, jeez. How could they talk about someone who killed themselves like that? But we don't know whether she killed herself or not. Shannon was silent, then she spoke. You're right. Looks like I'm susceptible to dumb rumors too. Anyways, let's work on our science fair project. The deadline is coming up. Maybe it'll help get your mind off her. Plus, you've put in too much work to just watch me mope around anyways. I followed her into the lab, trying to forget my precious friend once again. Precious friend? I thought she was kind of friend. After dinner, I washed the dishes as slowly as possible while waiting for Dad to retire to the living room. My mom sat at the dinner table, watching the steam rise from her jasmine tea. Ooh, I like jasmine tea. She took a sip. With her bare hands. Ouch, that burned her. Mom, do you keep up with Mabel's mom? I punctured the bubble of silence. Not particularly, no. I think the last time we talked was last Thanksgiving. I sent her a casserole recipe. She took another sip. I heard Mabel died, I said. Mom choked on the tea. I didn't know that. I just found out. This is, she paused, difficult. I'll call Sophia. I'm sorry about this, honey. Mom, do you think it's my fault? That she died? Of course not. How did you get that ridiculous notion? I don't know. We should have kept talking. Friends lose contact all the time. I barely talk to anyone except your father nowadays. Does that make me a bad person? Yeah, you know how people just sometimes drift apart and stuff? It's part of life. You can't be in constant communication because that'd be weird. You have to do your own thing. You have your own life to live. Even if you have to drift away from friends, but that doesn't mean you're not friends anymore. It just means you're busy with your own life, and that's okay. I think, but then again, I'm just some loner introvert. Maybe. What if Sophia and Mabel really needed you? I haven't talked to her in years, but if she were to reach out, I would gladly answer. Yeah. If somebody were to reach out and I'm like, hey man, what's up? Unless you're doing some networking or scam shit, I'm not interested. But why didn't you try first? Life gets busy, alright? You'll understand when you're older. Hey, how about we get some ice cream tomorrow? At Kevin's. Double fudge turtle sundae. I know you can't resist. The fuck is double fudge turtle? How do you do that? I'm not a child. I turn 18 next month, but I will accept that. So, no ice cream? I smiled. Fine. Let's go, but I don't want Dad to come. She sighed, then put up her hands. Oh, alright, it'll be just the two of us, like the good old days. Got a problem with your father, kid? Okay, everyone, come up and grab your graded exams, Mrs. Hovey. Hovey? I don't know. The chemistry teacher announced. I lined up behind a pack of students, not particularly concerned about my grade. I had been doing well in school, especially in science. Ever since Dad encouraged me to start studying more, he wasn't able to receive a proper education of his own, so he wanted me to excel in his place. Oh. In contrast, the murmur of the crowd was anything but on the subject of the test. No, they were still obsessed with Mabel and had come up with even crazier theories regarding her supernatural powers in the span of a day. People really have nothing better to do with their own life, just let the student rest in peace. Holy shit. Mrs. Hovey handed me my test with an air of disappointment. I looked at the sheet. Almost 20 points lower than I usually scored. I felt a heavy stone in my stomach, but quickly ran the grade calculations in my head. If I just scored slightly better on the other test, my overall mark would still be fine. What'd you get, Tony? Perfect score, probably, my friend asked while I sat down. Not this time, I muttered, stuffing the test in my desk. Maybe it's a curse, the same girl from yesterday said. You're all both unimportant because you don't have any names nor picture, but you do have portraits, though. I wish you would stop talking about such subjects. My friend's eyes widened as a realization dawned on him. Well, Tony was the only friend Mabel ever had. Do you think she's mad at you? When's the last time you guys talked? Did you do anything really mean to her? I don't remember, I answered honestly. Look, man, I'm not normally one to be all superstitious, but maybe you should do a little prayer tonight, just in case. His voice trailed off at the end. When was the last time I approached her? I honestly couldn't remember the circumstance or the conversation topic. I fumbled with the crumpled test. Maybe I did deserve such a score. Even if it were not Mabel's curse, surely karma would strike me for being such a bad friend. As I pushed the paper around inside the desk, I noticed another object. I pulled it out. It was a purple bracelet. What the hell? Why is there a purple bracelet? The girl screamed. It's a sign! You're definitely cursed! Hex, no way around it! You gotta see an exorcist now! Oh shit, my friend stopped to compose himself. This is more real than I expected. 2 prayers for you at the very least. What about 3? I stared at the bracelet, my head was numb, and I couldn't think of anything other than Mabel. Mabel! Mabel! Was this a sign? Did I truly commit such a great evil? Was I really the only friend she ever had? Or was I being irrational? Should I let myself be consumed by the death of a girl who, a month ago, was almost a complete stranger to me? More bad news awaited me at home. My dad was sitting at the dinner table with a thin envelope in his hand from the local private college, furiously drumming his fingers. He rose at once when he saw me. "Son, it's here. Call your mother, too." This was the first college I applied to, and the one that my father so desperately wanted to attend when he was a student, but his family didn't have enough money. He always bragged about how he had more than enough saved up for my college education. I took the letter from his hands. Oh shit, he got a lot saved up for his college education. That's ugh. I took the letter from his hands and found only a single folded paper inside. My parents both stared as I opened the envelope and read it. "It's a rejection," I said. My dad sat down and let a small "oh." After a long pause, he said, "Well, it's okay. You applied to a lot more schools. Besides, this one is super expensive. You'll probably get a scholarship from the state college." He sounded like he was trying to convince himself more than me. "Oh, that's right. We're supporting you all the way, Tony. Let's go to Kevin's to cheer you up," my mom said. "Again? You're gonna make me fat, Mom, but yay, let's go." If nothing else, I didn't have to stay in this crummy town for another 4 years, and I could forget all about Mabel, but I didn't say that part aloud. I found myself at Kevin's with my mother at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I kept thinking of my friend, trying to recall our precious memories together, trying to find every instance where I had wronged her. "How is it? Just like you remember?" my mom said with worry in her voice. I realized that I had barely eaten any of my ice cream. I quickly shoved a few spoonfuls into my mouth. Delicious. "Is something the matter, honey?" She saw through my facade. "It's about Mabel. I can't help but think that I could have helped her, if only we didn't move. This new neighborhood is much nicer, and you have lots of new friends, and the move was good for us, I promise. Now that old apartment, what an awful place, swarming with cockroaches and centipedes. You know how much I hate those things, and so small too. When we went over to Sophia's place, the 4 of us would barely fit. She had so much furniture, that silly lady. Couldn't bear to throw anything away for some reason. Oh, she's a hoarder. My mom was lost in memories. You and Mabel were the most adorable pair, I swear. I had to pry you away from her when it was time to leave. I remember all those arts and craft projects you two used to do, especially those bracelets." Alright, wasn't it I who introduced Mabel to the art of creating bracelets? Wasn't it I who taught her how to carefully bend the thin strip of paper over itself to create a thicker strand? "Would you like to go to Wood Creek Park? I used to take you there all the time. You were such a feisty little kid back then. Honestly, what happened?" my mother sighed. "It's called the change of time." Wood Creek Park was right across the street from Kevin's, and also where I met Mabel for the first time. I found her crying over her lost bracelet. We searched the park until the sun went down, but we weren't successful. To my pleasant surprise, I discovered that we lived in the same red brick apartment complex, so the next day I marched up to her room with a paper bracelet in my hands. It was purple because I had exhausted all the other colored construction paper except purple, which was my least favorite color. Oh, she claimed it wasn't as good as her last one, but ever since that day, I never saw her without a purple bracelet. While my mom plumped down on the nearest bench and began reading a book, I wandered to the edge of the park and observed a great big pond. I saw a happy family of ducks glide over the murky brown surface and a small frog leap into the water with an exquisite splash. I don't know how long I stood like this, but when I came to my senses, I looked up to see a man standing beside me. He had wavy hair with a touch of mistiness, piercing blue eyes, and full of happy lips. His shirt was thin enough to hint at his powerful muscles. This was exactly the type of person I would fear if I had a girlfriend. "Oh yeah, okay." "Visit this park often?" he asked. "No, I used to, but not anymore." "Ah, that makes sense. Despite its small size, the pond is quite beautiful. Look how it buzzes with life. See all the bugs, the fish, the snakes. Most people don't realize it exists because it's very secluded. But that just makes me love it all the more. I take walks here all the time. I love it too, I said. I used to catch those little mosquito fish and take them home with me, but they always died. The conversation stopped and we stood in silence. I listened to the hum of the insects and wondered if someone with perfect pitch could tell what note it was. I started coming here after I lost my wife and daughter, he said. Sensing my shock, the man continued, Don't worry, this isn't something I normally tell people from the get-go, but you seem like a reliable young man, and I could tell that there's something on your mind, so I figured I'd break the ice a little. Jesus Christ, what a heavy way to break the ice. For some reason, I felt this man was trustworthy. I took a deep breath. There's this girl at my school. We used to be friends, or we still are, maybe. She died recently, and I think it's my fault. I think she killed herself because I stopped talking to her, and now she's put a curse on me or something. I couldn't believe I was spilling everything to a complete stranger. Well, yeah, that's the thing though. Because there were studies showing that it's a lot easier to tell a stranger everything you want to talk about because first of all, they're strangers. They won't give a shit the next day. Secondly, it's easier to talk everything to a stranger because they won't give a shit the next day. And also, presumably, you guys won't meet up anymore. So it's kind of like, okay, it's not like you know him. It's not like you're gonna say anything to the other guy, right? They're probably gonna forget it the next day or the day after. It's just that it's nice to let it all out once in a while. Of course. Are you sure you're not just imagining it? The man seemed startled. I guess I could be, but all the signs are pointing to it being real. There's the bracelet and the test and all the rumors. My breathing became more and more ragged. Calm down, kid. It's obvious you're in a great deal of stress, so why don't we start with baby steps? Did you put the bullet in her yourself? If not, how could you have killed her? She was lonely and didn't have any friends. I could have kept talking to her and convinced her not to kill herself. Instead, I abandoned her in that awful apartment complex and ran off with my new dad. The man raised his eyebrows at the mention of the apartment complex, but did not say anything about it. It sounds to me like none of this situation is your fault. Isn't it normal to make new friends when you move? Yeah, it is. But we were such good friends. At the time, she was everything to me. I can't believe I forgot her just like that. How horrible of a person am I? Tears welled up in my eyes. The man scratched his chin. How about you just give in to her demands? Huh? This was the very last response I expected from an adult. But she's dead. I can't do anything now. Weren't you going on about how she cursed you? You've seen horror movies, right? Once you fix that thing the ghost is angry about, everything goes back to normal. Well, maybe a character or two dies, but hopefully that doesn't happen here. You're foreshadowing or something? I stared at him, like he had just suggested I lop my own head off. I still think this whole curse business is nonsense, he quickly added, but you seem in sufficient panic that you might as well try it. Kids sometimes just have to get it out of their systems. I thought about it some more and concluded that his idea was actually quite logical. I guess Mabel was always pretty in tune with her spiritual side. She made a Ouija board once. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I just need to make up with her from the great beyond. I vigorously shook his head. Thank you, sir. I think I know what to do now. With a spring in my step, I returned to my mother. Mabel was most commonly spotted at the furthest bookshelf in the library, the empty classroom on the second floor, and the broken desk outside the study hall. Suddenly, everyone recalled seeing Mabel hunched over a small table, furiously scribbling in a tattered burgundy notebook, despite not even knowing of her existence a week prior. While I often spent sunless afternoons reading horror novels on the giant plush chair, I didn't love the library like Mabel did. The last time I ran into her, she was able to pinpoint exactly where I could find the books I needed. When questioned about her ability to recall Dewey Decimal locations, she simply shrugged and said it came with practice. Our library was pretty old and due for a remodel, so the bright fluorescent light bulbs barely reached the shelves at the very back of the room, where countless unread books covered in a thick layer of dust lay. Oh, that's kinda sad. I'm sad for the books that are covered in thick dust because there's no light. I ripped the books off. "Oh, you vandalizer!" Opened them upside down and shook them. In mere minutes, the entire floor was covered with histories of the British Empire circa 1870 to 1920. No luck. No note or any sign of Mabel. I haphazardly stuffed the mishandled textbooks back in place. I probably caused a lot of hassle for the librarians, but the only thing on my mind at that point was getting to my next destination. No one knew why classroom 229A was unused. Administration constantly complained about the lack of funding for learning real estate. It chose to put more students in the overcrowded rooms next to it. Perhaps the school staff was just as privy to rumors as the student body, for 229A was rumored to be haunted. According to James in math class, a girl had an asthma attack there and died. Unfortunately, this incident apparently occurred 50 years ago, so all the old employees had retired and were unable or perhaps unwilling to confirm or deny the existence of such an event. Nevertheless, the vast majority of people liked to pretend the room didn't exist during the day. After school, however, was a different story. Students liked to wait until sunset, turn the lights off, and go ghost hunting. And if they were especially astute, they might have been scared by Mabel sitting in the corner, waiting for her mom to pick her up. This activity was so popular that it was commonly seen as a rite of passage for freshmen desperate to rise in the social hierarchy. As with the library, I did not find any vestiges of Mabel's essence in the classroom. A message, a note, a single letter, anything. Surely she would leave me, her best friend in the whole world, something of our friendship before passing on to the past life. She must have wanted me to fix our disastrous relationship, even after death. How would you know that? Why did you curse me, Mabel? Was it pure hatred? Am I unable to repent for my crimes? Again, there was nothing in the little desk with a missing leg. I would often catch Mabel sleeping there, her back gently rising and falling, as I cycled in and out of the study hall. I rummaged through the desk cubby, and pulled out generations of teacher name-calling, adolescent love confessions, and broken pencils until the desk was completely empty. I laid my head on the table. What had I missed? Where did I forget to look? Perhaps I missed the old apartment complex. I suddenly realized how little I knew about Mabel's life past the 7th grade. I stared at the paper purple bracelet that had, what a mouthful, that I had started wearing yesterday and noticed that it had a tear on it. It was going to fall apart soon, so I tried to tie the wispy strands back together. Fixed it. Should I click on? Yeah, okay. There was writing on the inside of the bracelet. Oh, the clue was there all along. Of course, I shouted. Several students looked alarmed. I'm such an idiot, I muttered to myself. Of course the message would be on the bracelet itself. Why was that not the first place I looked? Holding the purple construction paper up to the light, I read, Wood Creek Park swings, Thursday at midnight. Thursday? That was today, wasn't it? I knew exactly what she was talking about. That playground we loved so much. I still visited it periodically, but never very long. After I discovered Mabel's message, I ignored my obligations for the rest of the day. Much to Shannon's chagrin, she ran up to me as I was leaving the building. Tony, where were you? I had to do the experiment entirely by myself. Do you know how annoying PCR is? I'm so sorry, it totally slipped my mind. Something urgent came up, I said. Shannon grunted a little, then sighed, clutching her folders tighter to her chest. I see. You should let me know next time so we can reschedule. She paused. I get worried, you know. She looked down. If you need any help for whatever reason, please call me. You have my number, right? Yep, thanks, Shannon. I waved at her while running out the door. At 11:45 p.m., I quietly slipped out of the house, making sure to disable the alarm system. Large empty shadows cluttered my path like the machinations of a deranged child's mind. I tripped over cracked sidewalks and tiptoed past darkened houses. At last, I saw the Wood Creek Park playground with its rusty jungle gym and half-empty sandbox. The playground was honestly too small to support its vast daily users, but the city never bothered to raise enough money to expand it. As a result, many of the equipment were safety hazards, and splinters were a common occurrence after a trip to the park. Ooh, what a difficult place. At midnight exactly, I checked my watch. I saw a small shadow appear on the swings. She looked so small and delicate that I was sure a gentle breeze could knock her over. She was swaying back and forth on the swing, like a lost paper fluttering in the wind, her wild hair trailing behind her. I almost forgot to breathe. For a split second, I was disgusted with myself. What was I doing here? Mabel wasn't real, and I was a fool. I should be at home, working on that science fair project. Those thoughts quickly fell away when the girl spoke. Do you know what the easiest emotion to feel is? Mabel dug her heels into the prickly wooden chips as she came down from an arc. I thought for a moment. I don't know, boredom? Mabel smiled. No, it's hate. Do you hate me? No, quite the opposite, in fact. But I hate what you've done. Mabel suddenly rose from her seat and wrapped her porcelain arms around me. She leaned in and touched her hot lips to my ear. Traitor. I didn't abandon you, I swear. I told my mom I wanted to live in the same apartment, but my dad... Your stepdad. My stepdad wanted us to have a better life, you know. Get away from the crummy neighborhood. Get away from me. Nothing against you. What about our promise to get married? I laughed. I thought that was only if neither of us could get anything by 30, not 12. Well, I wasn't planning on trying very hard. Shame on you, I said. You've been trying too hard, Mabel said. I couldn't help but burst into laughter once again. Man, I've missed this. I forgot how much fun you were to talk to. Were, huh? Mabel drew away. You are fun to talk to. No, I think were is more appropriate. I'll never forget you, Mabel, I said. I know I messed up in the past, but I'm different now. What a cheesy line. That's another thing I've always hated about you. Mabel smiled under her mask of disdain. Did I already tell everybody that I really like this visual novel? Like, I wasn't expecting much, but it was like, wow, what great writing. I love it. Establishes stuff, says what it needs to say, doesn't linger on too much on things that we don't care about. It just goes in and then, yeah, I love it. I love this visual novel. Fine, look at this bracelet. I just remembered how much it meant to you, how much you love making them with me. I'll make one every day for you. Pinky promise, Mabel said, lifting her hand up. I mirrored her actions. Now, cross your heart and hope to die, Mabel continued with a smirk. Whoa, are you putting another curse on me? Yeah, now go do it. I oblige. There, you believe now, don't you? I want to, Tony. I've always wanted to believe in you, but you always made it so difficult. Is there any way to make it up to you? I'm an awful man, I know that. My soul is probably all black and crusty and gross and not fit for someone like you, and I regret so much. Tears streamed down my face. Do you know how betrayed I felt? I tried talking to you, but you were so busy with your new, more popular friends. She spat out those last words. I know. I suppose I'm a little bit upset with you, so I put a curse on you. A toy curse, if you will. Things won't always go your way, but it'll be nothing worse than some bad karma. Mabel chuckled. You're free to ignore me, really. You can just forgive me. Again. Reminder, Sophia's dead, so this is probably her ghost or our main character's delusion. Nope, you're not getting away with this time. I held her hands tightly. What a shocking development. Unfortunately, my time is up for today, Mabel said. I have to go, but tomorrow, same place, same time, we'll talk. I watched Mabel's back shrink as she descended further and further into the darkness. Her tattered red dress swayed under the flickering street lamps, and she barely made any noise, as she glided over the crunchy playground chips. I looked down at the purple bracelet in my hands and squeezed it. So that's her, huh? Okay. Oopsie. Okay, here's the part where I missed it. Damn trigger finger. The moonlit tryst continued for several nights. Day after day I would sneak out and meet the ghostly Mabel in the rundown park and talk about everything from our childhood to my mother's caffeine addiction to favorite beat poets. We talked so freely that I felt like I was 11 years old again, pretending to be Robin Hood. Mabel was Little John in the vast forest of Wood Creek Park. Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah. Next. To be honest, I'm actually not sure why I'm still here, she said. I said I put a curse on you, but that was a lie. I think there's something tying me to this world. Regrets. That's so cliche, I said. Are we literally in a horror movie? Shut up. Mabel punched my arm. Regrets, huh? We all have those, don't we? I already told you mine. I thought about it a lot, and I think it has to do with my mom. She's the only one in the entire world who has never abandoned me, and I left her. Now she has no one. I'll look after Sophia, I said. I want to make sure she's alright. Can you do that, Tony? Can you care for her in my place? You got it, I grinned. I decided to pay a visit to Sophia the very next day. Mabel's mom lived in exactly the same putrid conditions that I remembered. The kitchen sink was full of moldy dishes, there were years of ignored magazines on the ground, and any interior designer would be offended by the furniture placement. The Sophia of my memories was a wistful woman who was a bit plain but mostly kept herself together. She was quiet, demure, and a bit airheaded. I often had to repeat things to her multiple times. However, she was always attentive in matters related to her daughter. Well, I'll be. It's little Tony back for a visit. The lady opened the door, had thick round glasses on, and a half-done hairband with strands spilling all over her face. I was shocked by this change. If anything, Sophia looked like a real witch, not Mabel. She was younger than Mom, yet she looked at least 10 years older. Sophia led me inside and started boiling water on her greasy stovetop. Oh, so that, yeah, she does look like. It would be funny if she was the one that actually revived it. Well, not really revived, using her own daughter's spirit to guilt trip the main character. That's something a witch would do, right? You've probably already heard about my poor Mabel, but she's no longer with us anymore. I just don't know what to do with myself nowadays. I have no one to wait for after school. Your mother is so lucky. She has 2 lovely boys, but my family has all left me. I'm sorry, I can visit you after school from now on. There's no need. She suddenly flayed her arms. Why didn't you see us sooner? Why wait after Mabel's death? You know how much she was suffering, didn't you? Didn't you? Sophia glared at me. You're just like her father. Mabel only spoke about her father in whispers. Apparently, he left immediately after her birth, and Sophia was too young and dumb to force him to pay child support. Handsome boy, but what a monster, Sophia said. I thought you and Mabel would get married. Good thing that didn't happen, because you would have abandoned her, just like her father. Your mother saw a better opportunity in a man, and that was all it took. Mabel was so pretty, the other boys just didn't understand. She began talking to herself. Is there anything I can do to help? I said. Anything at all? Can you raise people from the dead? Unfortunately not, I said. Then leave. The water started boiling. She made some oolong tea, my mother's favorite. Your daughter asked me to help you. How could she? Every day she complained about how you ignore her. She's here, I promise you. She's here and she wants you to live. Mabel was gone the moment I scattered her ashes. You know nothing, child. I left feeling quite dejected. How was I to fulfill Mabel's wish? I needed to ask someone for advice. Let's see. Save here. Go to the man at the pond. The man at the pond said I should appease Mabel. Obviously, I could ask him for more help. I ran to Wood Creek Park, leapt past the trail, and dove into the small clearing that housed the dirty pond. I saw a tall silhouette on the edge. Mister. He turned his head. Hello again. You seem in a hurry. Everything all right now? I talked to her. I talked to the girl. She told me how to break her curse. Well, it's not really a curse, but it might as well be. She needs help moving on, so I need to fix up her mom. Her mom, you see, she's gone crazy. Total wacko. Can't get through to her. She's mad at me for not marrying her daughter. Isn't that wild? It's true, it's my fault, but she won't even let me make it up to her. How is Mabel supposed to pass on if her mom's suffering like that? I panted. I barely caught a word you're saying, kid. Can you try again from the beginning? Slowly. I thought for a bit. Sorry, let me rephrase. You mentioned you lost your wife and daughter before. How did you deal with that? Someone I know is going through something similar, and I want to help her. The man kicked the grass. That's difficult. Some days are not going to be okay. Other days might be better. But you'll still suffer and cry and would do anything to get them back. As for me, I take a lot of walks like I said before. Helps slow my mind down. Lets me think. What do you think about? Oh, you know, life, death, everything in between. I tried dating a bit after, but it just didn't feel right. I got a dog. That helped for a bit. You know, son, I think it's time that ultimately heals you. The gentle yet cursed embrace of the ticking clock. So Mabel's mom just needs time? I think so. Maybe she has too much time. What can you do just by yourself? He threw a rock. It bounced a couple of times then sunk into the water. There are too many hours in a day. Really? I think 24 hours isn't enough. I barely have time to get my homework done as is. Fortunately for me, I don't have homework. Don't you have a job or something? Jobs are supposed to be boring. Besides, what about the rest of the 16 hours? Well, the 8 you spend sleeping and the other 8 you can do chores and cook. Isn't that awful? The man grunted. What kind of kid are you anyways? Doesn't everyone your age just want to play video games all day? Well, I do, but I have obligations, like studying and science fair projects, I said. My mom says I have a good sense of responsibility. Honestly, you sound more mature than me. Sure I should be giving you advice? Last thing you told me was a good idea. And besides, you have more life experience. That counts for something. Say, your friend's name was Mabel, right? What was her mother's name? Sophia. Yeah, how did you know? I took a step back. And they lived in an ugly red apartment with broken windows on the 3rd floor. Did you know them previously? Were you friends with Sophia? Sophia was my lover, the man laughed. Oh yeah, you can see his face laugh. It was a thin horse laugh. Oh wait. It was a thin horse laugh lined with phlegm. He laughed so long I thought he started choking. And what a fool she was. His eyes completely changed. No longer did they radiate warmth. Instead, they were malicious and sharp like a snake's. So that's what happened to my daughter. What a twist. I let out a shout. You're Mabel's dad? Where were you? Sophia really was a pretty little thing working that dumpy grocery store. Story? You mean store, right? I married her off to the good life for a solid couple of months anyways. It was just a bit of fun. Pass the time, you know. There are too many damn hours in a day. I get so bored. I didn't want to deal with the kid though. That was too much hassle. So I just left. He shrugged. I can't believe she didn't even come for me in the courts. I was fully willing to pay. It's not like I'm low on cash anyways. Mabel offered herself. At least that's pretty interesting. Maybe I ought to pay a visit to Sophia. See just how insane she is now. Awful. Red spots filled my vision. My head went numb. I screamed at him. What the hell is wrong with you? I wished I knew. He sighed again. You should probably just give up on Sophia. Her mind's long gone. Leave some fun for me. I walked to the nearest tree trunk and left a deep red splatter with my knuckles. Suddenly, Mabel appeared. She swiftly moved towards me and held her hands to my ears. This is your moment, Tony. Avenge my mother and me. If you kill him, all your sins will be erased. I broke off a tree branch and weighed it in my hands. It was rough and hefty and felt like a baseball bat with spikes all over it. Before the man could ask me what I was doing, I slammed a wooden rod into his face. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Splotches of blood hit the ground, along with a couple of teeth. He smiled. You got some fight. The man proceeded to sink his fist into my stomach, and I crashed on the gravel road, unable to breathe. While I lay there, he stomped on my head like he had seen an ugly cockroach. Oh, we're dead. My skin ripped off from the friction. I gathered the remnants of my strength, pushed him off, and aimed the thick branch at his head. I missed slightly and hit his neck, but that was enough to knock him off his feet. I jumped on his stomach and repeatedly bashed his skull with my weapon until he stopped moving. I wiped the sweat and blood from my brow. Bruh. Mabel clapped. Bravo, Tony, you did it. Thank you, Mabel. That horrible person is gone. Now I can tell Sophia she's saved. There's no need. Mabel gave a happy twirl. She already knows. How? She's in the next world with me, silly. What? You can't see her, but she says thanks. Right, Mom? So did she kill herself after Tony left? Maybe. I laughed. Of course, how could I be so stupid? Say, is there any way I can head on to the next world? I want to be with you forever. Mabel, I love you. What the fuck, dude? No, that's the truth. I'm such an idiot for not realizing it before, but I loved you ever since I gave you that purple bracelet. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever known. Mabel giggled. Aw, thanks, Tony. I can't believe it took all this happening for you to understand, but it's okay. I can be the smarty pants in this relationship. She patted my head. You already know how to join me. You just need to think a little harder. Oh shit. Oh yeah, I do. This spot is a portal, right? That's what we decided when we built our kingdom here last time. It's a portal to a world that only you and I share. We'll have tea parties and talk about all the cool books we read. That's exactly right. Mabel was ecstatic. I'm so glad you've remembered everything. I was worried for the longest time, you know. I thought you might have chosen that other girl, but you were loyal. See, that's what I like about you. Your loyalty. I know you betrayed me once, but everyone makes mistakes. I know it won't happen again. Well then, shall we? I offered my arms to Mabel. Yes, we shall. She leaned on me and kissed my neck. Mabel and I finally reunited, walked through the portal to begin our new lives together. Yeah. Mabel influenced us into committing the ultimate act of sin or whatever. Man, I love this game. I really love the story, how simple it is. Hey, look at that art. Nice. We got another choice though, so let's look forward to that and just yeah, I think I could skip this part and just we'll watch the whole credit scene in the next part after we're done with it. Alrighty then, let's choose Go to Shannon. I took out my phone, dialed Shannon's number, and prayed for her to pick up. I heard a click and a bit of a static on the other side. Tony, how are you? Can I come over right now? It's important. Why, sure, it's a bit late, but my mom will allow it if it's for schoolwork. Thanks, Shannon. See you in a few. Juniper Street, Berry Avenue, Walnut Place. Ah, great, now you dox yourself. Street names flew past me as Shannon's face was the only thing on my mind. I knew I needed her to get me out of this predicament. I rang the doorbell. Shannon came out dressed in polka-dotted pajamas. No, she's not. Wow, that was fast. Do you need some water? You look really tired. That would be nice, I said. We went upstairs to her room and Shannon explained to her parents that we were working on our lab report for the project. Shannon's room was not the typical girl's room. When I first visited, I expected a tsunami of pink, but it was actually quite sterile. The wallpaper had a pleasant blue hue and a couple of posters adorned the walls. Shannon's bed was also very no business with its white sheets, white pillows, and plain wooden frame. However, it was clear that Shannon spent an extravagant amount of time at her desk, which took up almost a third of the entire room. It supported a large monitor with notebooks and loose papers scattered all over the surface. The chair too was black and luxurious, looking more in place in the CEO's office than a high school girl's bedroom. I sat on the carpet. It's about Mabel. Oh no, Shannon said. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this for so long. The people at school are really horrible. You see, I met her. You met Mabel? Shannon looked puzzled. The ghost of Mabel? Maybe her spirit? That doesn't matter. But she can't move on to the next world unless she has no regrets in this one. Makes sense. And she feels mostly guilty about leaving her mom alone, but her mom won't listen to me. I think she's been broken by Mabel's death. She's completely different from what I remember. She keeps blaming me for her daughter's suicide. I started crying. Shannon came over and silently hugged me. It's not your fault, I promise. But I was the only one who knew about all this. I was the only one. You're not responsible, she said again. What if I just went over again and refused to leave? I'll spend the rest of my life caring for Sophia. Then Mabel can move on freely. Shannon's grip tightened. No, don't do that. Huh? I was not expecting an angry outburst from the normally very supportive girl. You've done so much to get where you are. Don't you talk about getting out of this town all the time? And you still have so many colleges left. Have you ever wondered why I talked to you so much back then? It's not like I follow everyone around like a lost puppy. I admired you, Tony. Admire. Present tense. I used to be such a stupid little girl. All I did was sleep in class, go home and watch TV, and repeat the cycle all over the next day. But when you work so hard, I was inspired. Then every day became so much more fun. You can't just give up everything for some stupid mirage. Mabel's not... Listen, Tony, I don't like saying this, but I think you should really go talk to Mr. G. He's qualified to deal with grief. So Mabel just died being mad at me? We don't know if she was mad, but I guess feelings were unresolved, she said. That's awful. It is, but it'll be okay. You might have to deal with this for the rest of your life. That's how things go. I still think about my grandfather's death, but time will surely heal all wounds. One day you'll wake up and realize you haven't thought of her in a long time. I don't want that. Isn't that why she died in the first place? I stopped thinking about her. You'll think about other girls instead. It's your life, Tony, not hers. It's just so cruel, I said through tears. Yeah, it is, she said. Sometimes you just don't get an ending. Oof. Truth bombs. I sat there soaking Mabel's carpet in tears for a solid 30 minutes until Mabel's mother announced that the entire family was going to bed and that I should really head home. I waved goodbye to my friend and made sure to wipe my eyes so my parents did not know that I had been crying. Next up. Should I click on something? Oh. Despite my occasional failure to work on the science fair project, we still did fairly well. We ended up placing second. Nice. Even dealing with all that grief and problems, we got second place. Not bad. And advancing to the state round. On the car ride home from the competition, my mother announced that Sophia had also died. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Most likely suicide, she said. I stared out the window and thought of oolong tea. On Shannon's recommendation, I started seeing Mr. G more frequently. He turned out to be more helpful than I expected, and even sent in a good word to those schools I was waitlisted from. I joined his wall of happy clients. One day I looked in the mailbox and found a letter of medium thickness from Johns Hopkins. The S was important, Shannon constantly told me. I opened the letter in front of my parents in the kitchen to cries of jubilation. Biochemistry, I told them. Shannon and I promised to send each other letters from our new residences. Oh, they're gonna separate? Ah, god damn it, I really wanted them to end up together. After I finished packing for the big move, I did a final sweep of my room and found a purple bracelet. Wow, there's a bracelet? The paper was thin, torn in several places, and faded. I left it in the corner and zipped up my suitcase. Oh, that hit the field. It's like the moment he finally moved on, instead of taking the purple bracelet one more time, just, nah, I'll just leave it there. And he went on his way. God damn. What a way to freaking move on. This is so good. I love this story. Damn. It still hit the feels even after like a decade of not playing these games. God damn. I know I've played this once before in my old channel, but I didn't expect to have the same feeling of a gut punch after replaying this. This is so awesome. God damn it. I love this writing. Gosh. The weird thing about this is probably the game's title, The Strange Case of Sophia's Daughter. You'd think, being the strange case of Sophia's daughter, the story would have more focus on Sophia as the mother, because it has her name on the title and her daughter's Mabel. But we had more Mabel than Sophia, so that's kind of yeah. Oh, look at that. Don't do that when you're in a moving truck because you might fall over. No, you will fall over. That's him saying goodbye. Goodbye, even though there's no protection in front of me, and you're like, oh no, you're gonna die, help. No, don't do that, you stupid. And somehow, I don't know, he came back to his old town. Mabel's still the same, missing him and shit, and it's like, I've moved on with life, yada yada, etc., etc. Yeah, this is awesome. Kind of awkward to meet up with old friends and talk about stuff that, like, hey man, how's life? Life is life. What do you want me to do about it? Oh boy, this is so great. I love this story. So yeah, the purple bracelet thingy. Yeah, it would be was the twist here is this. Sophia was actually a witch and used her own daughter's spirit to take revenge on the main character and stuff before taking her own life. Check this out. There are Mabel's shoes, and there's a stream, so she basically jumped in and committed suicide. Which is also happened in the first ending. If Tony and Mabel was like, let's go to the water. Oh man. Yeah, I don't think he can swim. I can't swim either. Yeah, I can float, but I can't swim after that. Like, I don't know how to move forward, move back. Although I can float, I can just lie down on my back and yeah, I'm floating now. So just in case I'm thrown in some kind of body of water and stuff, I can still survive. Man, this story is so good. So yeah, this is the strange case of Sophia's daughter. God, I love the writing. It just goes straight to the point, a real gut punch in the gut. It doesn't have unnecessary long details about stuff that we don't care about. Oh god, I wish more visual novels were written like this. So if you want to try the game for yourselves, the links are in the description. That is all for today. Stay safe and take care of yourselves.